You've seen the headlines. Take control of your super. SMSFs are the vehicle for serious wealth. But for 99% of people, the process is just flat out daunting. Where do you even start? If you want true control over your retirement and you're sick of having some faceless fund manager treat your nest egg like it's monopoly money, this SMSF walkthrough is for you. By the end, you'll be able to decide if an SMSF is right for you, understand all the hoops, yes, and of course there are hoops, and pick the smoothest path forward. Whether you want to invest in property, shares, or something odd like vintage guitars. Yes, that's a real example. For those who don't know me, I'm Davie Mach, a chartered accountant, director at Box Advisory, and the guy clients call right before they make a move that sounds genius in a Facebook group, but ends up costing them a fortune. After 18 years of helping Aussies build wealth and manage taxes, I've seen every SMSF setup mistake you can imagine. And trust me, some of them are expensive. All right, let's start with the big question. Should you even be doing this? For most people, the decision comes down to one thing. Do you have enough in your super fund to make an SMSF worthwhile? There's no magic balance for starting an SMSF. But if you don't have about $200,000 to $250K, it's probably not worth the paperwork marathon and ongoing fees. But it does come down to a lot more than just super balance. For example, if you're not willing to actively manage investments, deal with compliance, or keep on top of audits and lodgements, the balance doesn't matter because you'll hate the experience anyway. So when does an SMSF actually make sense? You want direct control. You get a kick out of researching investments, or at least you're willing to learn. Maybe you want your super to own your business premises, or you've got a specific asset in mind that retail funds won't touch. Your potential rate of return should be higher than the cost to run the SMSF. But here's when it's a bad fit. If you don't have the time or interest to deal with compliance and admin, if you want hands-off investment management, the compliance cost is too high, or if you're not willing to keep detailed records and stay on top of annual audits and lodgements. Stick with your current fund. Seriously, an SMSF is not a set and forget option. So if you're still watching this, I'm gonna assume you've spoken to your financial advisors and decided that an SMSF is right for you. So let's walk through exactly what you need to do next. Step 1. Choose your SMSF structure. An SMSF is essentially the same as a trust structure. That means there's a trustee who is the person or entity that legally holds and manages the assets, and there are members who are the beneficiaries. Because you can have two types of trustees, either a person or an entity, you need to decide which one it's going to be. With individual trustees, each member is personally named as a trustee. If you're the sole member, you'll need to appoint a second individual trustee who could be a family member or a professional. With a corporate trustee, you set up a special purpose company and all the members become directors of that company. The company itself is the trustee, not you personally. So, which one should you pick? Look, most professionals, myself included, strongly recommend going with a corporate trustee structure. Yes, it's pricier upfront, usually about $1,000 to $1,500. But here's why it's worth it. When members change, the company stays the same. All your assets remain in the company name. You don't have to re-register every single asset, which can be costly and ridiculously time-consuming. There's also better asset protection because the company has limited liability. Your personal assets aren't exposed the same way they would be with the individual trustees. And if you ever plan to borrow money to buy property through your SMSF, what's called a limited recourse borrowing arrangement, lenders strongly prefer corporate trustees because the legal structure is simpler. Step 2. Get your trust deed drafted. The trust deed is the legal document that establishes your SMSF and sets out the rules. Think of it as the rule book of your fund. This needs to be prepared by a qualified professional like an SMSF specialist or a lawyer or accountant who knows superannuation law inside and out. Your trust deed needs to include the fund name, the objectives, trustee powers and responsibilities, how members can be added or removed, investment powers, and critically, make sure it allows borrowing and property investments if you think you might want to do that down the track. It should also cover benefit payment rules and amendment procedures. The deed must comply with current superannuation laws, but it also needs to be flexible enough to allow for future legislative changes because super laws change more often than you think. If the deed doesn't allow something you want to do later, you're stuck until you get it amended, and that costs a lot of money. So get it right the first time. Step 3. Register your special purpose company if you're going corporate. If you've chosen the corporate trustee route, you'll need to register a special purpose company with ASIC. Most SMSF providers offer corporate trustee setup as part of their establishment packages, so you don't have to do this alone. Here's what the company needs to look like. It should have as a trustee form and then your SMSF name in all its business dealings. All members should be directors, or at least one director if you're a sole member. The company qualifies for reduced ASIC annual review fees because it's a special purpose company, which is a nice little saving. And this is important. The company cannot conduct any other business. Its only job is acting as the SMSF trustee. That's it, nothing else. Step 4. Sign all the documents properly. Once you've got your trust deed and your corporate trustee set up, everyone needs to sign the trust deed. This isn't optional. All trustees or the directors of the corporate trustee must sign. You also need to create an initial trustee minute documenting everything. What goes in those minutes? Appointment of the trustees or directors, acceptance of the trustee roles, agreement to comply with superannuation laws, the fund name, the financial year end date, appointment of your investment strategy, member applications, and acceptance of opening a bank account. Appointment of service providers like your accountant, auditor, and financial advisor, and any of the trustee decisions. This might sound like a lot of paperwork, but the ATO loves paperwork, and if you don't document it properly, you'll get caught out later. Poor record keeping is one of the most common compliance breaches auditors find, so treat this like going to the gym. Missing days undoes all your hard work. Step 5. Apply to the ATO for your ABN and TFN and register your fund. You need to apply for an Australian business number and tax file number through the Australian Business Register within 60 days of establishing the fund. During registration, you also elect for the fund to be regulated, which gives you compliance status. That's what you want, because compliance status means you get the tax concessions. Now, here's something that catches people off guard. The ATO may actually phone you to verify your application is legitimate, especially if you accessed early super release before, had previous compliance issues, or fit certain risk profiles they're watching. Don't freak out if they do, it's quite normal, just be ready to answer their questions. You also need to decide if you're registering for GST. Most SMSFs don't need to, but you will if your SMSF conducts a business, owns commercial property, and charges GST on rent, or has GST turnover above the threshold. Step 6. Open a dedicated SMSF bank account. This has to be in your fund's name, not your personal name. All contributions, expenses, and investments must flow through this account. The account name should be formatted like this. Your trustee name, as trustee for, and then your SMSF name. Keep it clean, keep it separate. If you start mingling dollars with your personal account, that's a massive red flag for the ATO, and you'll have to please explain letters landing on your desk faster than you can say superannuation. Step 7. Roll over your existing superannuation fund. This one's optional, but most people do it because that's how you get money into your new SMSF. Contact your existing super funds and request a rollover to your new SMSF. You'll need to provide your SMSF name, ABN, bank account details, along with your member's details and signature. Rollovers typically take 5 to 15 business days, and you most likely need to set up an ESA, or an electronic service address, which will allow you to receive contributions and rollovers to your SMSF. Step 8. Create and document your investment strategy. Every SMSF must have a documented investment strategy. The law requires it. Your investment strategy needs to consider risk and return objectives appropriate to your member circumstances, diversification across asset classes, liquidity needs, insurance needs of members, and member age, retirement goals, and risk tolerance. You also need to keep in mind that you need to review it every year and document that you did. It's not a set and forget thing. If circumstances change, like someone's retiring or the market's tanking, or you want to add a new investment, you update the strategy and document it in your trustee minutes. If you don't, the auditor will catch it and you will get a please explain letter from the ATO again. Trust me, you don't want that. Okay, that pretty much wraps up the setup process. But remember, this isn't just a set and forget situation. An SMSF needs regular TLC, tender love and care. Think of it as a veggie garden, not a cactus. For real, if you need a hand with your SMSF setup or compliance, get the right advice before you hit go. See you guys next time.